this is Hanna.
And this is Matt Hanna.
And this is Horror Hour with the Hannas.
Where we talk about all your favorite scary movies.
This week, we are talking about Drag Me to Hell.
Which was directed by Sam Raimi for Spider-Man and Evil Dead fame, and released in 2009 after Spider-Man 3.
It's also starring Alison Lohman and Justin Long.
Yeah.
Don't know who Alison is.
So yeah, you said after... you told me earlier before we got on the podcast that this was the last movie she ever made.
I'm pretty sure this was one of her last projects. I don't know if it was the last movie.
I'll say I had never seen her in anything.
That's
or at least
not what I meant.
I did not recognize her.
Yeah, no, I don't know if she did TV shows after this or anything. This is one of her last major projects. I think after this, she kind of took a step back and did the kiddos thing.
And have you ever seen her in anything prior
nope.
to this? Okay.
No, I have not.
Well.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, we can say right away, I did not think she was great in this movie. It was something that, when we get to things we didn't like, I will say I was not a fan of her acting. But I don't know if it's because I liked everyone else around her, so it just felt kind of out of place.
I didn't feel like anyone was doing anything particularly stand out. But I also just wasn't buying it.
Okay, well, let's talk about... Neither of us had ever seen this movie before, right?
No, we hadn't.
I'll say I knew about this movie because of pop culture reasons. I've seen clips and I knew how it ended for that. This one was also a PG-13 movie, so I'm pretty sure it was on FX all the time, which is the only channel I watched from middle school, high school. That's where I feel like I get all my pop culture movie knowledge from. Really, my love of movies. Thank you to FX.
Thank you, FX. I knew nothing about this at all.
Other than it was
nothing.
Other than it was Sam Raimi, and I said,
"Yeah,
you like Spider-Man?"
I knew Sam Raimi, and I knew Justin Long was in it because you told me.
Yep,
that was literally all I knew going in, and I was able, you can kind of make some assumptions when you know Sam Raimi was involved in a project.
He's a horror legend, right? So yeah, he's a very specific style.
Very much giving Tobey Maguire snapping in Spider-Man 3. Walking down the street, venomed out, dancing and snapping. I get that same energy.
I don't think it's
They're
that
spiritual cousins.
I'm going to have to go off the rails because did you know in Spider-Man 3 that Sam Raimi did not want Venom in it at all because he does not like Venom as a character and studio interference forced him to have it in there?
Well...
So it's actually kind of crazy that he
know this.
Took that and made the snapping scene, the whole dance scene, when he never wanted Venom in it in the first place. I guess he put his own flair on him. Or sorry, I guess that's the symbiote that was taking Spider-Man over at that point. Not Venom yet.
Yeah, I knew that he did not want that. And you could definitely tell, that's why the movie is so messy. Because there's, so much studio interference and two different villains and... It just does not work like the first two. I mean, Spider-Man 2 is the best superhero movie of all time. Changed my mind.
I was going to say I agree with you.
Yeah, it's so good.
I fully agree with you. Yep, I can't. That's not even a hot take in my opinion.
All-time favorite movies, period,
yeah,
honestly.
No, it's fantastic. The chocolate cake scene.
Fun fact.
Everyone who loves that movie knows what I'm talking about.
Fun fact, when we were little, my brother was horrified of that movie. And broke my copy of the DVD.
Was it the very Raimi-esque scene when he's in Doc Ock
in the
waking
hospital
up in the
room?
hospital?
Yep. Yeah, I think that was a big part of it. We actually saw it in theaters, and I had to take my brother to the hallway because he was scared.
Brutal.
Even though we were really little, so I don't know why my dad didn't just do that, but, who's to say?
Honestly,
great movie. Love
prison
it.
time for both of them.
Truly.
but yeah.
I like that movie infinitely better than this one, but I did have fun.
Yeah, I had a feeling. I had recently watched for the first time all of the Evil Dead movies, all 5 of them, and I really enjoyed.
There's 5?
There's 5, yes. Well, there's 3 in the original Raimi trilogy, and then there is the remake, 2013, and then there's Evil Dead Rises.
Okay.
But they all are kind of sequels to each other.
Blended together, and me walking in on you watching them.
Yeah,
throughout the course.
And
of
I feel like I really learned to appreciate Raimi, which I should probably go back and watch the Spider-Man movies after doing that Evil Dead run. But I feel like I kind of knew exactly what I was getting into with this because of that. And it was I wouldn't say it didn't disappoint. It's not as good as Evil Dead, but like it has some great moments. And like I did feel like my heart was in my stomach for some scenes that gave me like a lot of anxiety and actual scares.
Yeah. This was definitely the movie you were most reactive to.
Maybe it's because I didn't see it, but I don't know if the scares were just for me. But we're going to do hide and scream count after we do 15-second summaries. And we're not going to forget today.
All right.
So do you want to go first?
Yeah.
All right. Timer coming up. Should have been prepared. That's my calculator, not my timer.
Same thing.
Everybody does that. All right. Yep. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Go.
Girl works at bank. Told to act more like man. Makes man business decision. Gets cursed and accused of shaming lady. And gets dragged to hell because of her curse.
All right.
That was horrible. That was like actually my most atrocious summary thus far.
No, that's what makes it funny. It's okay.
Yeah. All right. Go.
All right, woman gets curse put on her by a Romani woman, tries to remove it, is kind of a bad person, continues to make bad decisions to remove it, and finally gets what's coming to her by being pulled into hell under a train.
The train was the most important.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to use that for TikTok at all to guess my...
We said
too much.
We said dragged to
You can cut out the drag to hell and say drag to blank under a train. That'd be pretty funny. That'd make a good TikTok.
I just have to beep out
all of it. The beeps are great.
I did a TikTok with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I just beeped out when I said Texas because I thought that was a giveaway.
Follow us on TikTok if you haven't, and smash that like button. If you're on YouTube, give us 5-star rating on Spotify. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, fuck you. Sorry, that was so extreme.
What the fuck?
I don't know. I just wanted to pick one to hate on. Apple Podcasts has been the bane of my existence in creating this podcast.
We're also on Instagram.
True, Instagram. Be on there. Instagram, you're awesome. We can bleep the fuck you. That'd be funny. Or cut this out. I don't care. Or leave it all in. I'm on one today.
I don't give a shit.
All right, let's go.
Anyway, if you don't want to hear the summary, just skip ahead 2 minutes. Anyway, so in 1969, a couple seek help from a young medium saying that their son is ill and hearing voices after stealing a necklace from a Romani person. The medium prepares a seance, but an unseen force attacks them and drags the boy to hell. In present-day LA, bank loan officer Christine vies for promotion along with her coworker Stu. Her boss advises her to demonstrate tough decision-making, so therefore, when Sylvia, an elderly Romani woman, asks for a third extension on her mortgage, Christine denies her request. Sylvia cries and begs not to have her house repossessed, resulting in security guards arriving. She leaves, angrily accusing Christine of shaming her. In the parking lot, Sylvia violently attacks Christine. She rips a button from Christine's coat and curses it. Later, Christine and her boyfriend Clay visit a fortune teller who tells Christine that a dark spirit is haunting her. At home, the entity begins to violently attack her, and she begins to experience hallucinations, which continue when she's in the office and when she's introduced to Clay's parents. She goes back to Sylvia to request forgiveness, but discovers that Sylvia has died. Christine then returns to the fortune teller, who explains that as long as she owns the cursed button, a powerful demon will torment her for 3 days before dragging her to hell. He suggests a sacrifice may appease it, which results in Christine sacrificing her pet kitten. When this is unsuccessful, she returns to the fortune teller, who introduces her to the medium from the movie's opening sequence. They complete a seance. The seance is unsuccessful and results in the medium passing away, so it's no progress. The fortune teller then seals the button in an envelope and tells Christine that her last chance to remove the curse is by giving the button to someone else. She thinks about giving it to her coworker Stu, but bothered by her conscience, she decides not to. She ends up digging up Sylvia's grave and shoves the envelope in her mouth. The next day, Christine meets Clay at a train station for a weekend trip. Clay, hoping to propose, hands her the envelope with her missing button because he found it in his car. She realizes that she accidentally gave the wrong envelope to Sylvia, which means that the curse was never lifted. She backs away and falls onto the train tracks just as a fiery, demonic hands emerge. Clay tries to rescue her, but a train speeds through and he can only watch as the hands drag her to hell. Roll credits.
And that is Drag Me to Hell. Fitting name, right?
Yeah. Comes up a lot.
So, let's jump into hide count.
Zero Hide.
Zero Hide. I'm actually impressed because this movie scared me a lot.
Yeah,
And
I was so brave.
And you were very brave.
Thank you.
And what was your scream count? Or combined scream count?
Our total scream count was 7.
Is that our highest so far?
No.
Was Insidious our highest?
Well, the highest for a single person might have been Insidious.
Okay.
For me. For this one, you screamed 3 of the 7 times.
Let's go. Finally.
Matt is normally at a solid, 0 to 1. So, Matt screamed first in this movie, and second. And I was just, giggling in the corner, haha, bitch.
Rami's got the sauce. What can I say?
I thought it was actually really funny that this one got you as bad as it did.
Yeah, I don't know.
It scared me, but not like that.
I felt a lot of dread throughout the movie. I don't know if it's just, because Christine is the only one that can see the entity coming after her or any of the things happening, so she's kind of very alone in it. And then I thought the scares were just well constructed. A lot of them things that scared me were jump scares, but they were at least built to in ways that I enjoyed or that I felt got me. Especially one of those shadow scares, which was kind of dumb. It was just ended up being a shadow that looked like the devil, popping up and kind of zooming towards her, but it still really it worked for me. I don't know. Yeah, I was more scared of this one, so good on this movie.
I think it's funny because it's definitely not the scariest for me.
No, and it's a PG-13 movie, which is kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. At least I thought. It is PG-13. Okay, I want to make sure I wasn't talking on my ass. We like to do that here. You
like to do that here.
And in general.
Yeah, that's true. Mansplaining.
No, that's not mansplaining. That's just making things up.
We have a friend who does that for fun, who just, makes shit up, and then we'll see if you, call him out on it. And sometimes when we do, he just, giggles, and we're like, are you fucking
We'll have him on this podcast at some point.
Yeah, but...
We'll see. He could just make stuff up on the podcast.
I could see him spouting some, random-ass facts. It'll be a time.
All right. Before we move on, we're going to give you a quick promo for our friends at 13 Degrees of Screams. You can find them anywhere you listen to podcasts.
One theme, 13 screams.
13 Degrees of Screams podcast dissects your favorite horror movies.
Each season, we will cover 13 movies around one theme.
We will discuss the real-life myths and legends that inspire these movies and tell you just how scary they are.
With your host, Alex and Stephanie, join us as we dive deeper into the degrees of screams.
So, Hannah, did you like this movie?
I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought it was really fun. I dig the horror comedy vibes. I always think that's really fun. But I don't think it was overly successful at either for me. And I've seen the combination work better in other movies.
Okay, I get that. I'd say it is interesting calling it a horror comedy, and maybe it's that other horror comedies don't succeed in being as scary as I find
horror,
this one to
yeah.
be. We love Cabin in the Woods, but Cabin in the Woods is not
It's
that
much
scary.
more funny than horror.
Yeah, where this is definitely much more horror than funny. And I guess that's kind of a gift Rami has.
Yeah, he definitely leans more from what I've seen of his horror, which is 4 minutes beyond this movie. From what I've seen, I definitely see more horror with bits of funny peeping in and corny.
Yeah, you know who does a really good job too is I think Jordan Peele, but it's very different.
Barbarian.
Sure, yeah, Zach. I can't remember his name, but he's from The Whitest Kids You Know.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. That's his only horror movie so far, though. So we'll see if he gives us more of it. But I feel like none of them still have the same kind of flair and style that Rami has. Peele has his own very specific style. But,
yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. No one really makes it like Rami does. Maybe we're going to watch Malignant or have watched Malignant. And I think that kind of gets to this campy level as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that on a future episode. So
we'll save it for then.
Yeah, but yeah, that's, I think, the most similar film that I've watched recently in terms of that tone and that combination of nailing both. But I did think this movie was fun. I know you've mentioned already that it was really scary for you. I didn't think it was as scary as you did.
Really scary is a stretch. I think there were some... Sure.
You normally are, like, unfazed.
I will say the first time I ever watched, like, The Babadook, like, I couldn't sleep at night. And that was really scary. This is not on that level, but I would say, like, there were scares in here that did, like... I was feeling, like, some dread, which was good. I was enjoying it, because I kind of liked that out of a horror movie.
Side note, since you mentioned trouble sleeping, have any of the movies we've covered on the podcast so far given you sleep disturbances?
No. Not after these watches. Previous watches, yes.
Fair enough.
I think The Witch has, and The Babadook has. Drag Me to Hell is advertisement when I was a kid. Definitely did.
That's funny. I never saw advertisements when I was younger.
I feel like either advertisements or on TV, something about it I remember, like, scaring me as a kid.
Out of all the movies we have covered so far, the only one, and to be fair, most of them besides this one and Carrie, and Texas Chainsaw, actually. So, but like 2/3 I had seen before. Mm-hmm. The Conjuring is the only one that, like, bugged me at night. I
have to think... The Conjuring, the first watch, didn't bug me, but I'm sure later watches
No,
did.
I mean the first watches, but also this most recent watch.
Okay.
I was alone one night, and I was actually listening to a friend's spooky podcast, so I was, like, thinking about ghosts, and then I fell asleep, and then I woke up, like, abruptly, and it was still, like, only 10 p.m., because the falling asleep is an accident, but I was still alone, because you hadn't gotten home yet, and then I was sitting in the home, like, oh my god, there are ghosts, and oh my god, I can't move from the bed, because there is a demon under the bed, and it's gonna pull my foot, like in The Conjuring! But this one did not give me that, which I'm thankful for, because I don't need that, I sleep poorly already. I was just wondering.
I feel like, in the moment, I hate it, but, like, looking back, I'm always impressed if a movie can do it, so...
Don't want.
Somebody give me a movie that...
Do not want.
That way. Maybe Wreck. Maybe.
I was gonna say
we're gonna watch it on this. I think we're gonna have Preston on, right?
Yeah,
to do that, we have to have Resident Scaredy Cat.
Little soul.
Yeah, that one's gonna ruin him.
We're gonna have to drive him home. He won't be able to walk home or bike home like he normally does.
I feel like I just need to say this about Wreck. I would recommend that movie maybe like more than any of the movies we've watched, only because I assume most people haven't seen it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, because it's like a Spanish horror film.
Yeah,
and
so it's
like
going to be less common,
foreign language film. I think it's like probably one of the best scary movies I've seen, and I'm excited. I'll gush about it when we eventually watch it.
I'm scared already. But anyway, this podcast, this movie, Drag Me to Hell.
Yes.
Sorry for my tangent, folks.
Yeah, you got me on a tangent. Okay.
What did this movie do well for you?
I thought that a lot of the scares were well constructed. I think I've said that a couple times, but it's just like they were jump scares that got me, but a lot of the time it felt like they were built up to in really good ways, where like I was kind of misdirected, or I was already feeling some tension and dread, and then it just like got me with something. And typically the best jump scares, or even best scares they had, were very minimalistic. They were just the woman's face on a phone. There was that really crazy where Christine's phone dies and she watches the battery go down, looks up at something else and looks back down, and then
there's like a face.
Sylvia's
on the phone.
face is on the phone. The ones that didn't work were the more like there was one that was like very clearly CGI, where like the eyes came out of the head. It was like some Looney Tunes-esque thing where there was an anvil above the Sylvie's head. It wasn't really Sylvie. It was like the demon's manifestation, and her eyeballs came flying out.
Yeah, that looked
there were there were a lot of like in a lot of Raimi movies, a lot of gross out scares, and some worked and some didn't. That one didn't work. However, one that did was when she goes to Sylvie's funeral and knocks the body over, and the body's on top of her, and like embalming fluid is spewing out of the mouth into Christine's mouth, and it's like green.
Disgusting.
And they go to pull the body off, and then the hand of the dead body does its rigor mortis around Christine's hair and rips out a chunk of her hair. And it's just like so unsettling.
I don't know how this bitch had any hair at the end of the movie, because
she lost
that
her hair
corpse ripped her hair out at least 2 to 3 times.
And she made a joke about it. She was, yeah, that was pretty good. In terms of gross out scares, there were a couple like gross out moments, but like I said, there were a couple ones that were like very clearly not good CGI that I didn't like. However, the shadow scares, which were CGI as well, I think because they were so minimalistic and were really just like shadow creatures attacking her, looked good and scared me. Mm-hmm. Especially the way that like it was like daytime, the shadows were on the walls and moving. There was a lot of use of shadows throughout this whole movie.
Yeah, I thought that was fun.
And I enjoyed those scares a lot.
I have to say, something that he did during a couple of the shadow sequences was that there was this like really grating screech noise. It's like, you know when you're using a metal spoon and a metal bowl and it makes that noise?
Yeah, you hate that.
I hate it.
Hannah gets mad when I eat cereal.
It's not when you eat cereal.
Soup?
If you eat out of the wrong bowl.
Oh, okay.
Or like you mix in the wrong bowl and there's like this noise that is so painful to me. And that noise was in this movie like a million times. That screech noise that kept happening, if you remember that.
I honestly don't.
We talked about it in the moment.
Did we?
Yeah, because I was like, this is killing my ears. Like, I can't do it.
I think you're
and
making that
I
up.
don't know if it made me more scared or like...
It wasn't like a sting,
sensitive.
right? It was more just kind of a strings, like, playing?
No, it wasn't a sting.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't just when something happened. It was like her looking around the house and there was like this screechy.
Interesting. No, I guess I did not.
Bruh,
I'm sure I noticed
you're
it. I
blacking
wasn't
it out.
like, yeah, maybe.
You're gaslighting me right now.
Yeah, I don't believe you. Wasn't there.
But
the music was good in this, right? And the audio
I thought
was
the audio
good.
was fine, yeah.
And the background noise. I feel like I
had no complaints.
I feel like it didn't stand out, but I remember feeling like a lot of dread while watching, so I feel like that means it worked well.
Yeah, I didn't have any complaints, but I also wasn't like, oh my god, like with some of the other movies, like in a good way, oh my god.
Yeah.
So I thought that some of the sounds got me in a spooky mood.
What else worked for you? Anything?
I'm having trouble like articulating what I did like because I have a lot of notes about things that bothered me. But I liked it overall. Like, I liked it more than I disliked it. So I don't really know what my issue is and, like, why I can't seem to articulate things that I liked. I mean, I think some of the theming, which we will get into, I did like. And so I think that worked for me. And I think the plot itself was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think there's a part where near the end where it starts to drag. But up until, like, Act 3, I was pretty into the plot. I was, like, enjoying where it was going. All right, well, if you don't have too many more, I'm going to jump into some notes I had because one was, this is kind of a messed up note, but I liked that the movie began with that kid getting dragged to hell because I feel like violence against children is not seen in movies too often. I mean, in horror movies, fine, it happens, but not to the point where the kid dies.
Yes.
This kid literally just got
to hell.
Sucked to hell and was like screaming, and I was like,
"For being a thief, kid."
Yeah, it like freaked me out, and I think it's maybe we just haven't seen. Maybe I'm bullshitting, but I feel like movies try to avoid a lot of like violence against children, even horror movies.
Yeah, I don't think it's super often that you just see a kid get whacked unless you're like watching Hereditary.
Yeah, and that's super unsettling there. I'm trying to think of other.
That scene is horrific. This one has nothing on that, but it's not trying to, so. Yeah,
it's just something that I noticed was different. I wrote, bring back fade to black transitions. There were multiple fade to black transitions and cross dissolves. I think only Rami not only Rami can pull it off, but like, I think you have to have someone with his visual style. He did them in like Multiverse of Madness too, and they worked. Although that movie is not very good, but there are like any of the overly Rami moments are good. So, I don't know. I think it's just funny to see them when we haven't had them in a while. And yeah, there's a time and place. We can use them. We can use cross dissolves, get your iMovie out and edit it like your little kid again.
It was giving Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah, I don't know. But maybe, like I said, maybe it just takes a special kind of director to make them work. But I thought they were funny. They worked at the time. And it kind of was just like
I guess they do feel kind of corny, which fits the overall tone of the movie. So it's okay.
Oh, I had another thing. There was some CGI that looked bad, but there was actually some sick practicals. The one I'm thinking of is when she starts spewing blood all over her boss. And I think I know how she did it, right? Her nose starts bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
And then she raises her hand. I just put my hand over my mouth. That's dumb while talking on a podcast. But she raises her hand, and then the blood comes flying out. I think she probably had a tube, like a tube through the like shirt sleeve. And it just was all over him. It was like really gross and like kind of reminds me of The Exorcist, of the split pea soup getting shot out. And I don't know. It was just like fun to see that. I love a good practical, and nothing beats real fake blood.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think those are a lot of mine. I think I actually really like some of the subtext of this, so I'll say more things I like once we get to themes, like you said.
Can I start talking about some things that I didn't love or that I have like criticism or joke about?
Sure.
So I was really excited for the seance scene, and I don't feel like it hit for me at all. You know that episode of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody where they're playing the prank on Zack by like faking that there are ghosts in the hotel room? There's like the seance, and Esteban is like channeling the ghost. And
yes, and speaking of that, you asked if anything gave me nightmares. The end of that episode did.
Where the real ghost
hands
him the blankie. That episode is top tier TV. It demands to be watched every Halloween. Shout out Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Go watch it. I did like that show.
But yeah,
it still hits. I'm not even gonna lie.
Is there more you want to say about the scene?
I have more. But yes, it was, that scene was giving Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, except probably worse.
Mm-hmm.
And then the seance, like midway through, when the demon thing went into the seance lady's assistant, the assistant started like levitating, but then like dancing, and then there was this like carnival-ish kind of music playing.
That was like the only cool part about it.
I thought it was dumb as fuck. I was like, why did this turn into a dance sequence? Like, again, it was giving Tobey Maguire walking and dancing down the street. Like, why does this man want a dance sequence out of nowhere? For no reason.
I'll say, I also really didn't like this scene. It felt very out of place with the rest of the movie. It didn't progress the plot forward, which is fine. I'm fine with certain things not progressing the plot. However, this didn't feel like it did anything for the movie.
I feel like it kind of progressed the plot forward.
In a dumb way,
In a dumb way. Basically, was fine. Like...
It got rid of her one option.
Yeah, an option.
Which was, using her to remove the demon. But it was kind of dumb because it, like, worked, but then they, like, messed up. It was like a kind of dumb Looney Tunes comedy of errors, and I just felt like it kind of slowed the momentum. This was like the first time anyone else could really see the demon after her. I think it'd have been more fun if she just was if she was the only one longer. Yeah, I get it. They wanted to bring back the medium from the beginning, but I don't think they needed to. They could have just had that opening scene was cold. Like, I mean, went hard, right? I didn't mind
that the fortune teller saw it because he already believed her.
Sure, yeah.
But so, like, didn't bother me. Had Justin Long's character, like, the boyfriend, been there, I would have been upset because I like that he continues to not believe her till the very end.
He pays for it, though.
Now that is something I think is hilarious because throughout this movie, this man is calling all of these services bullshit and then paying for them.
Yeah, because he's got money.
Yeah, which, again, we'll talk about the theme.
Rich. But... He is rich, and there's a reason for it.
Yeah. Again, we'll talk about that more, but I did think that was funny, but I'm glad he wasn't there. That there's no one that doesn't already believe her exposed to it.
Yeah. I agree with you, though. Like, I just like the scene was so poorly done. It seemed to really slow things down. It was kind of, like, goofy and just didn't feel necessary. I think that there are other things he could have done that would have been more entertaining. I would say that was, like, I enjoyed this movie for the most part. That scene really bothered me, and I said before
third act of Insidious levels of bad.
I like the third... Oh, sorry. No, I thought you were saying The Conjuring. Yeah, you're right. I also... Yeah. Agreed. I don't like the third act of Insidious.
I think this
and everyone thinks I'm a hater for
me
it. Yeah, I agree.
Than that. That is
which is a shame because I think the rest of the movie works. I was going to say, like, that scene I don't like. I think Christine is not a very good actor. And it takes me out of it sometimes. Like, it's not even, like, bad, good. It's just bland and feels She feels like I can tell that she's an actor and not a real, not like this isn't actually happening.
It's giving
to her.
like middle school theater
Yes.
when you're like finally like kind of developing into a little better, but you're still not great because you're like 13.
Yeah. Oh, that is harsh.
Yeah.
We're sorry. I forget her name.
I felt like she was meant to be on the middle school stage.
Yeah. But those are the only two things for me that I felt
Alison
like.
Wonderland Jr.
But those are the two things that I felt like didn't work for me. Rest of the movie, I enjoyed though. I don't have too many complaints.
I also was really butthurt that she killed her fucking kitten.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck who, like, I don't care if I'm gonna die. If someone said sacrificing a small animal will save your life, why the fuck are you going to your cat? Like,
she
you're not,
stabbed it.
she's not trying to, like, she's not going to the pet store, like, can I get a random gerbil? Or, like, what you should have done is you should have gone to the pet store and gotten, like, the little mice that are meant to feed
just to snakes.
To your snake. And then killed that. Or like
right.
a worm.
Stop arguing with the movie
like
logic.
Find a worm.
It also
just
she sucks. She's supposed to suck.
I know. I just like
She'll
find
do
that
anything
really hard to stomach.
To get on top, Hannah. She'll do anything to get herself out of the situation, and for the most part, pull anybody down.
I know. It's really hard to talk about anything in this movie without kind of going into the theming. So do you want to just do that? Like, should we just jump the gun and go for it?
Yeah. Do you want? I can gonna talk about this for a little bit.
Go for it.
So you want to rant? Okay. I think it's really interesting what this movie is saying because I am shocked that it actually has this subtext because I found this movie to be very class conscious.
Yes.
And it's very purposeful that Christine is very poor and that her boyfriend is very rich. And I want to bring up...
say very poor.
Sorry.
I would call her like middle class.
No, she's lower middle class. But either way, in this country, middle class is like not actually
Bruh, she owns her own home.
Fine. Well, you don't know that. Was she renting?
Okay, well, it's like a house.
Okay, fine. Either way, she is poor compared to her boyfriend, who's like ultra wealthy.
Yeah.
She is, and this is important, closer in wealth to the Romani woman that she denies the loan than she will be to her boyfriend and boyfriend's family. Right?
Yes.
And she will die closer, like more net worth to that woman than that family. And that's just a fact. Unless she marries him, right? And I think that's like so purposeful because the whole movie is her trying to like get herself out of the class that she's in, right? And moving on, and like to get more money, like get out of that. And she will step on people to get herself there. And that's what American culture is. And that's set up through her work situation.
America.
Right? Where she wants to beat out Stu for the position and is told, well, you need to make harder decisions. So she says, I'm going to step on this old, elderly, impoverished woman and take her house away from her because it might get me this promotion, which ties into the whole crab in a bucket theory, which I guess I'll explain, which is the idea that you have a bunch of crabs in a bucket, they're not going to actually work together to pull themselves out, but when one gets close to the top, the rest are going to pull them down. And that's exactly what Christine is doing here. She is pulling her down. And I think she does that throughout the movie, right? To get herself out. She like wants to bring herself out and get the curse away from her. She considers handing the curse off to other people. Right. And like, she's a bad person for what she does here. And I think it's very clear, like she like is very selfish and kind of deserves to have the curse put on her for the decision she made.
I find your take on that so harsh that you're like, she's just a bad person. She's like,
think that the movie is trying to tell me that she's bad though. Right? Yeah,
I don't think
fine. It's a circumstance.
Not a good person.
I would say,
but I wouldn't say she's a bad person. She's
bad
kind
person.
Of like,
no, I get that.
I think it would. Again,
but she's living this unrealistic dream of trying to like become wealthy. Is how I interpreted it. Like her boyfriend. You know,
I do think that is like the subtext.
It's like how people think that if they kiss Elon Musk's ass enough on Twitter, they're going to be rich like him one day. Like that's my interpretation. And maybe that shit just pisses me off. So I'm like reading it more harshly, but there is that moment where she considers giving the button to like some elderly man that's sitting alone just to get rid of the curse. And she's like, well, I'll just pass it off to him. She chooses not to.
I think she considers it because he looks like he's dying.
Yeah? Still shitty? She tries to give it to her coworker, even though he's a piece of shit, too.
He was a piece of shit. He deserved it. He should have gotten the button.
I will also say, I think that if he really wanted to nail this theming down more, she should have given it to Stu. And then we still have the twist where she gave Stu the coin. I feel like, and I'm completely talking about my ass here, that was probably the original script. And that either test audiences didn't like it or studios didn't like it. Because that is like the mean Sam Raimi I know would have done it like that. I mean, the ending's still very mean.
It's hilarious.
I just feel like, and yeah, maybe calling her a bad person is,
She's not a good person.
I'm being a little animated.
But I think she's like a typical, I don't want to say like a typical American, but a lot of times people in an individualistic culture, which we have
a hyper-individualistic culture.
Like they do what they're trying to do to get ahead, and I think...
But they'll bring other people down, and like they're oblivious to bringing other people down.
That is the problem, is like how oblivious she is to that. And it takes her so much of the movie to own up to her boyfriend that like, it is her fault.
Yeah, she the whole time even tries to pretend like her boss made her do it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's no, you had the choice. He gave you the choice. But that's how I read it. I think it's a very class-conscious movie, at least for part of it.
I think it's very on the nose that's what it is. Like, when she goes to meet Clay, well, we hear Clay, the boyfriend, on the phone with his family, and they're like, well, we wanted you to be with a doctor or a lawyer. And then she goes to meet them, and they like repeatedly refer to her as like a little farm girl, and like her career is downplayed because it's not the respectable background.
They see her as like entertainment too. They like are like really intrigued by what she did in a way that they're like almost fetishizing the farm girl thing. Yeah,
like she doesn't come from money,
the family, the rich family's gross too. But it's like she's trying to become that almost, and that's why. Tell me about that's my big theme. That's what I was like excited to talk about.
I also think the boyfriend, like, again, paying for things that he literally doesn't even believe in. Like, he's literally he throws out 10 grand for the seance that he does not believe in. He does not think that she is being tormented by whatever demon spirit thing is dragging her to hell. Like, he does not believe in it. He's just like, fuck it, like, here's 10 grand. And, like, imagine having that kind of money. Which, again, like, he does. It just ties into the theming more. The other theme that I don't think continues as well throughout the movie is just kind of, like, gender stereotypes.
It starts that way, right? And then that kind of just falls off.
It's very strong, and then it falls off. So in the beginning of the movie, the boss, like we did mention, he praises Stu, the coworker, for his aggressiveness and tough decision-making, and, like, wants her to be more like that. So it's basically, like, he wants her to have qualities that are in contrast to, like, what is typically seen as, like, feminine qualities. And it's by making that decision that leads her into all this shit. So, partially, in the beginning of the movie, I was like, this movie is saying, fuck, like, gender roles and fuck the patriarchy and just, like, do you instead of trying to fit to a mold. But it doesn't really stick. It does also more of, like, that gender theming in the beginning. He has Christine train Stu, who is in line for the promotion. Like, she's actively training him. She's a veteran in the workplace, obviously strong enough in her position, and is still in competition with this newbie who's just happens to be a dude who is, like, confident. I
do wish with both of these themes that I guess he would have gone a little deeper with both, or just like committed to them a little bit more. I think the classist one, he does commit to pretty hard, and I think with the ending of her like getting dragged to hell, like commits to that. But I do think the sexism one just kind of falls off.
It falls pretty flat. Also,
really, her and Stu should have unionized, organized her, Stu, and Sylvie.
That should have been. They should have eaten just among
in their family, in his family.
Eat the rich. We should have ended with a snack. Speaking of snacks, the men in the workplace tell her to go buy them sandwiches.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they really did that for like 15 minutes of just like doing this, and then he kind of just walked away. Weird.
I mean, I think it, like, somewhat continues, like, Justin Long and, like, the person trying to help her and giving her this advice is a man. Like, she's
and just keeps taking her money.
That's a dude.
He's also another person he's a fortune teller. He's got no money. He's trying to also bring other people down to pull up. However, that kind of doesn't dive fully into that either, because he actually does end up helping her. Right? And like, or what he's offers should help her, right? With the seance and giving away the button and everything. Which is like kind of interesting. But he also in the end kind of chooses the wrong thing. He chooses to be an accomplice in her possibly handing the button off to somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of interesting, yeah. A little bit all over the place with theming, but I like to read the class conscious theme. So
I was really excited because I love gender analysis. Like, that was my bread and butter.
I think they're great
so when it fell off, I was like, you motherfucker. But, you know, we also can fuck with some Eat the Rich theming as well. Yeah,
you know what? Does Rami have a tendency to write not very compelling female characters? Yeah. I feel like Mary Jane is kind of weird in the Spider-Man movies. Yeah. Maybe that's just my one example, though.
No, she's boring as shit.
He is kind of, and I like him. This is not a knock on him, but I do find like some of his writing a little childish. Sometimes, like, Christine was fat before, and they bring that up once and have a picture, and like, it kind of goes nowhere.
I think that's supposed to be some form of her own shame.
Okay.
Because, like, Sylvie talks about how she was shamed, and I think that's, like, a form of Christine's shame that she's, like, dealing with.
I felt like it was almost played as a joke, and so I just thought it was weird.
They definitely could have done more with that. Otherwise, it was just an awkward joke that didn't need to be there.
But I feel like women in Evil Dead are not portrayed great. I mean, they're pretty badass once they're taken over by Deadites. And like,
yeah, but that's not...
But, yeah, it's hard to tell. This one is
I was just trying to think of if he wrote Multiverse of Madness, because I was going to say the female character in that is pretty one note as well.
I honestly think I blanked that movie out except for a couple cool scenes. Like, and it was only based on the way they looked.
Because they took, like, a really nuanced message of grief from the WandaVision show and then just kind of, like, made her just this evil
because he didn't know what was going on in WandaVision. He did, apparently.
I don't think he wrote it.
Oh, well, apparently
he directed it.
What's her name? Complained and was like, "This is the same thing we just did." Like,
except,
it was like the same,
stupid and worse.
Yeah. Maybe it's not him though. I don't want to talk too much on him. I just did feel like there was that, like you said, you're right. The sexist subtext kind of just disappeared after 15 minutes.
Yeah, they did.
But I think those are my big themes on it. Like like I said, I did enjoy the classism theme. I do think he does commit to her being like, yeah, you shouldn't be trying to pull other people down. Like, you did shame this woman and you did do something shitty to her and you reap the consequences of it.
I'm going to say it. She treated that woman dirty, but yeah, she did her dirty. But the actual event that the woman cursed her for, the being shamed,
was she's
wrong.
She was wrong in that. That's what's funny. She actually didn't curse her in the movie's text. She didn't curse her
because she was denied the loan, which would be fair and would be better with the theme. The reason she says she cursed her is because she got down on her knees to beg, which is already kind of embarrassing in public. And Christine was like, "Can you not touch me?" and called security because this woman was hanging all over her. No offense, I would also be calling security. Yeah. Don't touch me. Do not touch me.
Like I said, that's the text. I'm reading the subtext as it's because she denied the loan because it just works better for my agenda.
That's true. Me also. I like do wonder if there's supposed to be like more theming around like shame, especially maybe like feminine shame that we're missing, and that's why again, there's the Christine Waite subplot that comes up 2 whole times, but I don't think there's enough there for me to really flesh it out.
You know what? I want to retract. She is a bad person. She killed that cat. I'm saying she's not a bad person. She is a bad person.
That is a bad
She stabbed a kitten.
Yeah, and then she goes.
And took away that woman's house.
Yeah, you're right.
And the woman died, like, immediately after.
Well, she was
heartbroken.
She wasn't going to get to keep the house anyway.
Yeah, I'm upset. I'm sorry.
All the women in this are bitches, I think, is really the end.
Damn. Turning on womankind here, Hannah. Can't believe it.
I cannot stand by needlessly cursing another woman or evicting a woman
Or stabbing
or
a
working
cat.
for a bank.
Or being rich.
Or being rich. Like, there's so many sins of this movie.
Oh, we're getting too goofy. Do we need to go to something else?
I really think all that's left is ratings, bro.
We do want to do favorite scenes? Did you have a favorite scene?
No.
I had a favorite scene and I
don't
wrote it
know.
down. I think my favorite scene was the phone scare with the shadows chasing her around the house and just destroying her house.
Mhm.
And then it made it look like she was just crazy after. But it was like something with the way the shadows looked was, I thought, really cool. Gave me, like I said, a lot of dread. And then that phone scare, which if I could I described it earlier, but it's like she's looking at the door. There's footprints,
The hooves
hoof
are
shadows, hoof shadows, like the devil is out there. And she goes to call and her phone just goes to 0. She looks back at the door and then back at her phone, and then Sylvia's face is on there looking just horrific. She's got the glass eye. It's really scary. And it just like floored me. It set me like back into my seat. I thought it was really well done, and I enjoyed that a lot.
It upsets me that I can't think of a favorite scene because, like we talked about, there were scenes that did make me scream. And I can't remember them now.
You liked the opening, right? Was that that wasn't your favorite, though?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Not the seance. Least favorite scene is the seance.
Yeah, it
Let the blood
upsets me
squirt.
because that was very funny. I specifically wrote spewing blood, pee funny.
Yeah.
Was my shorthand. But, yeah, I just wish that these things that actively made me scream out loud, like our neighbor probably thought I was getting stabbed.
We're also listening very loud.
Yeah.
We got that surround sound.
Poor dude probably thought there was like a murder going on in here, and yet I can't remember it 2 days later. So that kind of disappoints me, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
I do
this isn't
think
one
the
that'll
scares
stay
are
with me.
fun. I think the comedy keeps it a little lighter, which I like, but I just think it's too corny for me to love and for it to stick with me long term. But I would watch it again. Like, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. Would you recommend it? It wouldn't be at the top of my
No.
list, but like
It wouldn't be at the top of my
I would
list.
just if I'm
Maybe for the right audience, maybe for the right
Yeah.
person.
But I would just send them, if you want to see a Rami movie, I send them Evil Dead 2 or Evil Dead.
Yeah, I haven't watched them yet, so I cannot.
Although
comment,
most people would
but
say Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness was actually my least favorite, and
I know a lot
feel
of people
really
say Army of Darkness.
is their favorite.
I hear
and
that or Evil Dead 2.
Maybe I thought 2 was awesome. I mean, I thought 1 was awesome too. They're all good. I think maybe I was camped out by 3 after 2. I don't know. Maybe I got to give it another watch. But I would just recommend those
eventually.
movies or Spider-Man 2. Just watch Spider-Man 2.
2.
There's not a single.
Spider-Man 2.
Oh, this isn't harsh. There's not a single day where I would pick Drag Me to Hell over Spider-Man 2. Not a single moment in my life.
There aren't many things that I would choose to do over watch Spider-Man 2.
We should watch it for the podcast. Just for that one scene.
Just the one scene.
It's a horror movie.
See, instead of, maybe we'll just do an episode about horror scenes and not horror movies.
I want to talk.
Somewhere.
That's like not even the best scene in the movie. The chocolate cake scene's the best scene in the
No,
movie.
it is not.
It is.
You're
I stand by
busted.
it.
Okay, anyway.
Busted.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's how you use that word.
I don't think so either. Ratings.
Ratings.
I have been feeling a lot of dread over ratings for this, honestly, because it's making me rethink some of my previous ratings.
How we talked. How do I have to say this every time? Ratings are dumb. That's why we do them.
Okay, well, what I do on Storygraph, where I write my books, is I rate them, and then a couple weeks later, when I've read new things, and go, oh, I
You go
fucked
back and
that
change 'em?
up, and I go back and change it.
What we should do.
I originally gave Song of Achilles not a 5. That is a 5-star book. I know you don't know what that means. It's a 5-star book.
You told me about it. All right.
And
Here's what we should do. At some point, once we've done like
We'll do
25 episodes, we should go
revisited.
back and hear our ratings on all of them. That'd be a long video, and then we can comment on it and be
Yeah.
like, hey, whether we change or not.
Yeah,
That'd
we
have to be
do
like a
it
live
revisited.
video or something. Us sitting in front of the computer on YouTube or something.
We'll definitely revisit because I fucked up the specific movie that has me feeling a lot of guilt right now. Shame, one might say. My feminine shame. Is Insidious.
You rated it too low? Too high?
I think too low.
Oh. I think I rated Insidious right where
You
it should
gave it
be.
a 6.
Yep, I agree with it.
You think this is better than Insidious, because I have a feeling you're going to give it above 6.
Do you want me to
That's
give
my
my
problem.
rating?
Yes, give it to me.
I was initially going to give this a 7 because
No.
I felt like it was a solid outing.
How can
Very
you give
average.
this
Sometimes
a 7
you
and
need-
Insidious a 6?
But no, I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Mhm.
I think that maybe my rating for Insidious will change someday when I go back, but I'm going to stand by my rating and give this a 6.5.
See, I think Insidious is better. And I keep thinking about how much I love the first 2/3 of that movie. I think it's so fun and scary, but in a fun way. I know the stings are annoying, and I know the third act of that movie
There's some great scares in
drops it.
Insidious.
I really think the entirety of my rating not being a 10 for not that it's a 10 movie, because it's not, but the reason my rating for Insidious isn't better is because I find the third act and when he's in the further so fucking annoying.
It is really annoying.
But the rest of that movie I enjoy so much more than some of the other things that we've covered and will cover that I will end up rating higher than Insidious. So I have this
All right.
ball of emotions.
You're going
Okay.
on about Insidious too much.
I know, this isn't the Insidious episode, but I want to give this also a 6.5. But
Whoa.
Insidious,
Sorry, I
would give,
got distracted. You gave it the exact same as me. We're on the same page.
Yeah, but
Look at us.
Insidious I would bump up to a 7.3.
Okay.
5.
Reasonable. You're not allowed to do it until we do our special where we go back.
I know. It was just kind of I felt like I kept comparing these two for some reason, even though they're different.
Yeah,
I think
completely.
it's because they both had scenes that took me out of it so severely that for some reason that alone I kept making these comparisons.
I will say Insidious's best scene is better than this movie's best scene. Insidious' best
By
scene
far.
being the seance.
That's
scene,
not even the
that's
best
my
scene to
favorite
me.
scene in
And
Insidious.
I think it says something that I can think of 4 scenes in that
That
movie
are better.
I love.
Okay, well,
It's okay.
this
We'll
movie
get
was fine.
I'll watch it
I
again.
wanted to get the 2000s era horror movie in. I knew it was gonna have a mean ending because, like I said, all the horror movies at the time do.
I don't know, it was fun.
Yeah, fine time.
It's a
It is
good
fine.
it's a
Solid.
good sleepover movie.
Yeah.
That's what I
You
would
have
say.
sleepover still? We have a sleepover every night.
Yeah, but the two of us. But when a friend stays over, and you want to watch a horror movie,
Yeah.
or it's
Show them that
Halloween and you make those spooky ghost or Scooby Doo cookies and
See, I am rude, and if I'm gonna make a friend watch a horror movie for a
you're
sleepover
gonna
now,
destroy them.
I'm gonna pick something upsetting,
No, this is giving.
which is where we get Raw.
This is giving high school sleepover
or
movie.
Wreck, or Jason and I like to watch Climax, which is a great French horror movie. Yeah, it is French, isn't it? Can't remember. That just has a bunch of dancing in it, and is about a bunch of people that do acid, or get, shouldn't say they do acid. They are given acid against their will, and they're locked in a school in a blizzard, and it's awesome.
Cute.
That's a great sleepover movie. But yeah, something to make people squirm.
I don't know if you
Kinda ruin the
understand
night,
the
you know?
vibe of a sleepover movie.
Well, you know what? Evil Dead 2, great sleepover movie that's going for your vibe and my vibe.
Haven't seen it, so I'll get back to you.
No, honestly, it's
Great sleepover movie.
No, I'm trying to bring
Bella
the vibes.
Enchanted, Princess Diaries.
I'm trying to bring the
That is
vibes
the
down so
vibe.
people go home and are uncomfortable.
Why the fuck would you?
Just making shit up.
You're actually, I didn't want you to stay over. Why don't you go now?
Yeah. Just, what's the worst movie you could put on? What worst horror movie you could put on a sleepover?
Hereditary.
Yeah, no, that's probably it. Yeah, just Toni Collette scream crying, grieving.
Decapitation.
Well, that part's, yeah. That's probably a good one.
Nailed it.
We should
All
think
right,
of another one. That's it. Yep.
We're done for today. We've rambled too long.
I'm having fun.
What another messy day.
This is a good app.
Well,
Tell us. Please rate us on everything we're on, like we said before.
rate
Make
us
us happy.
pretending this last 20 minutes of rant didn't
No, this is the
happen.
best part. This is what they're giving us the 5 stars for.
Anyway, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Matt Hanna.
Thanks for joining. Stay spooky.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning into Horror Hour with the Hannas. Make sure to listen to future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, and follow for additional content on TikTok or Instagram at Horror Hour with the Hannas. If you like the podcast, please leave a positive review on your favorite podcasting app. Happy hauntings!